Fractions. Ugh, right? For a lot of us, that word just brings back headaches. The rules seem to change all the time. Well, what if I told you there's a secret to making it all simple? Seriously, stick with me and you're going to see fractions in a whole new, much friendlier light.
So why is it so confusing? Why does it feel like 1 minute you're multiplying straight across, and the next you have to do this weird common denominator thing? It's like trying to play a game where the rulebook just keeps changing on you. Let's fix that, right now.
Here's the secret. It is way, way simpler than you think. You don't need to learn a dozen different rules. You just need to realize that every fraction problem on the planet lives in one of only 2 worlds, and each world has its own consistent, easy-to-follow rules. That's it, just 2. So here's our game plan. First, we'll lay out these 2 worlds. Then, we'll master world 1. That's multiplying and dividing. After that, we'll tackle world 2, adding and subtracting. We'll cover the one golden rule that applies to everything, simplifying. And finally, we'll uncover some fractions in disguise. Ready to go? Let's do it.
Okay, this is the big idea, the foundation for everything. Every single fraction problem you'll ever see belongs in one of these 2 worlds. If you can just figure out which world you're in, you instantly know which rules to use. It makes everything so much clearer.
And here they are. World 1 is for multiplying and dividing. World 2 is for adding and subtracting. The absolute biggest mistake people make is trying to use the rules from one world in the other. Keep them separate in your mind, and I promise you, you've already won half the battle. All right, let's dive into World 1, which I like to call the easy world. This is where we deal with multiplication and division. It's super direct, super straightforward, and it's the perfect place to start building some confidence.
And here's why it's the easy world. When you're multiplying fractions, you do not need to worry about common denominators at all. You can just go. It's honestly one of the most direct things you can do in all of math.
Look how simple this is. To multiply, you just multiply the top numbers, the numerators, straight across. So here, 2 times 1 is 2. Then you multiply the bottom numbers, the denominators, straight across. 3 times 5 is 15. And that's it. You're done. 2 over 15. Easy, right?
Okay, so multiplication is a piece of cake. But division? That sounds harder. Well, this is where we get to do a little magic trick. Because here's the thing. We don't actually divide fractions. We use a really clever trick to turn every division problem into, you guessed it, a multiplication problem. And the magic words are keep, change, flip. This little phrase is your key, and it works every single time. You keep the first fraction exactly as it is, you change the division sign to a multiplication sign, and you flip the second fraction upside down. Let's see it in action.
So, let's divide 2/3 by 4/5. First, we keep the 2/3. Next, we change the division sign to multiplication. And last, we flip the 4/5 to become 5/4. And look at that! Now it's just a multiplication problem, which we already know how to do. 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times 4 is 12. The answer is 10/12. And just like that, World 1 is conquered.
All right, time to journey into World 2. This is where we add and subtract. Now, the logic here is totally different. We can't just operate straight across anymore. The key idea in this world is making sure our fractions are speaking the same language, or as we'll call it, finding common ground.
Think about it like this. You can't add apples and oranges, right? If you have 1 apple and 1 orange, you don't have 2 apple oranges. It's the same with fractions. A third is a totally different size slice of the pie than a fourth. You can't just mush them together and call it a day.
So, before we can add or subtract, we have to make the bottom numbers, the denominators, the same. This is called finding a common denominator. It's like we're cutting our apples and oranges into identical, same-sized pieces so that we can add them. This is the single most important rule in World 2. Now, finding a common denominator can sometimes be a bit of a pain. But guess what? There's a fantastic shortcut that does all the heavy lifting for you. Some people call it the bow tie method. Others call it cross your heart. Whatever you call it, it's about to become your best friend in World 2. Let's use it to add 2/5 and 1/3. Here's how it works. First, you multiply diagonally up. 2 times 3 gives you 6. Then you do the other diagonal. 1 times 5 gives you 5. Those are your 2 new top numbers. For the new bottom number, you just multiply the 2 denominators straight across. 5 times 3 is 15. Finally, just add those 2 top numbers you got, the 6 and the 5, to get 11. and you put it over your new bottom number, 15. Your answer is 11/15. It finds the common denominator and adds all in one go. Okay, we've successfully navigated both worlds. Now it's time for the one rule that applies everywhere, no matter what you're doing. It's the golden rule. Always simplify your answer. Think of it like the final polish that makes your work look clean and professional. A fraction is fully simplified when you can't divide the top and bottom number by any whole number except for 1. The fancy math term for this is an irreducible fraction, which just sounds way more complicated than it is. It really just means making the numbers as small and simple as they can be, without changing the fraction's value. And here's why we bother. Look at these two circles. The one on the left shows 10 shaded slices out of 20. The one on the right shows 1 shaded slice out of 2. They're literally the same amount of pie, right? But which one is easier to understand in a split second? 1/2, of course. Simplifying is all about making things clear. So how do we actually do it? Let's take that 10/12 we got from our division problem. Just ask yourself, is there any number that can divide evenly into both 10 and 12? Yep, 2 works. So we divide the top by 2, which gives us 5, and we divide the bottom by 2, which gives us 6. Our new fraction is 5/6. Can we simplify that anymore? Nope. So 5/6 is our beautiful final answer.
So for our final stop, let's talk about where else you see fractions, because you use them all the time, probably without even realizing it. They just like to wear disguises, and their favorite disguises are percents and decimals.
Check this out. The term percent literally means per 100. So when you see something like 15%, it's just a fancy way of saying 15 per 100, or the fraction 15 over 100. And if you type 15 divided by 100 into a calculator, what do you get? 0.15. A percent, a fraction, a decimal, they are all just different outfits for the very same number. So let's bring it all home. The number one thing to remember is the two worlds framework. If you're multiplying or dividing, you're in world 1. Just go straight across and use keep, change, flip for division. If you're adding or subtracting, you're in world 2. Find that common ground first, and remember the bow tie method is your secret weapon. And for every problem, always give it that final polish by simplifying your answer. You've got this. And there you have it. All the rules of fractions, made simple. You have the framework. You know about the two worlds. You know the golden rule. So the only question left isn't about math anymore. It's, what are you going to solve with this? Whether it's adjusting a recipe, figuring out a discount at a store, or splitting a bill with your friends, you are officially equipped. Go put it to use.